Good morning everyone. This is Priyanka Rajmane from PICT Pune. Welcome you all. I am going to start with file handling part 3 where I am going to discuss various read operations and write operation that we can perform on a file. Before going for read and write operation, I will go for something called as with statement, or in some book you will get with construct. Now what exactly this with statement is and why to use this? Now listen, whenever we perform any operation on a file, what are the basic things that we do is, at the beginning of file operation, I told you people, we have a file and we perform three operations. That is, we open that file, then we perform read write operation, and then we close the file. First of all, we have open a file, then we perform read operation or write operation, and then we close the file. Okay, so these are the three basic operations that we do on a file. But whenever whenever we use this with construct, then there is no need to close the file explicitly. Okay, so how to use this? Listen, the with statement can be used for opening the file. The advantage of with statement is that it will take care of closing a file which is opened by it. So using with statement, we are going to open one file, and when to close that file, the whole take care is taken by this with statement. Hence, we need not to close the file explicitly. Okay. So what exactly the syntax for this? The syntax for this is with is a keyword, space, open a file that we want to open is a function call. First parameter is the name of a file. Second parameter is its mode in which I have to open a file, read, write, append, any mode. Then we have to write down as space file object followed by colon. This is what the syntax of with statement. I will show you. I have done one program with space open a file, open a file.txt in which mode? Read mode, as f is what? Here you can write down file, f1, f2, anything. So what f is nothing but a file object which will point to a file.txt. Now listen, we are going to perform a read operation on this file f, on this file which is pointed by a object f. Now whenever I am performing, so in order to perform read operation, read function, we have read method or read function, and we will call that method. So f dot read will give me the contents of a file. I will save those contents into some another object, another variable, that is, I can name it as a content, and I will print the content. Okay, so I will get. Now once I execute this, I will get the output as a welcome to Python learning, welcome, hello everyone, inconvenience secreted, whatever I have written in this file. Now listen, I want to tell you one thing. What read function has done? Read function has read all the contents of a file named file.txt. Now listen, in order to read the contents of a file, we have four methods. First is read, which read all the contents. Then we have read, and to a read method we can pass a argument, that is the contents that we are going to read. So here I have passed the first argument as a 10. It means I have to read 10 bytes from beginning. Now I have done one program for this. Read bytes, here number of bytes to be read from a file are sent as an argument to the read function. For example, again I have opened a file, that is file.txt, in a read mode as a f, and I am performing a read operation. Now how many bytes I am reading? I can read 10 bytes, 5 bytes, 7 bytes. Okay, so you can write down 20 bytes, 10 bytes. If I say 20 bytes, then it has read all those 20 bytes. If I say 10 bytes, then it will read only 10 bytes. What were the contents of the file? You have seen what were the contents of the file. The contents of the file were welcome to Python learning. Welcome. Hello everyone. Inconvenience regretted. These were the contents. Now we have performed read by passing one argument. Then we have a function to perform a read to perform reading a line, one line at a time. And in order to perform that, we have a readline function. Okay, so I will show you what exactly this readline function does. Readline is a function which reads one line at a time. Okay, so in order to read one line at a time, I have to call this function 3 times, 5 times, n times, depending upon the number of lines that are present in a file. Now listen, I am using now with construct. Okay, so with construct, I am opening a file read.txt in an R mode, and I have written a statement that is x dot readline, x dot readline, x dot readline. I will show you read.txt. In read.txt, I have mentioned this 3 statement. This is first line, this is second line, and this is third line. Okay, so output is coming as it. I will show you that read.txt so that your idea will be more clear. I have this file that is read.txt. It will take some time to get open. Once this file is open, this is first line, this is second line, this is third line. These are the 3 statements that I have written to this file, and we are reading all those statements. This is first line, this is second line, this is third line. Then this is what a read line, which reads a single line at a time. Then we have another function that is read lines. What exactly this read line does? Read lines read all the contents of a file. I will show you. Now listen, with open file.txt, we know what exactly the contents that are there in file.txt, as we have already opened that before this. I have opened this file in the read mode as a F, and I am performing the operation that is F dot read lines, and whatever the contents that I am reading, I am copying there, I am saving it into where? Into a content. Now listen. So instead of line in file, I will write down the contents in a file. What I will write down is contents in a file are contents in a file are okay. I have printed the contents, and whenever I am trying to print the length of a content, whenever I am going to print the length of a content, I will show you. I will execute this. And now listen, the main thing that we get after performing read lines operation is this function read all the lines from a file, and it returns a list of a line. Listen very carefully. If you see the output, this output is in the form of list. Okay, and all these lists are backslash n, backslash n. Why backslash n? It is showing me the next line is on a second line is on a next line, next line, next line. Okay, so backslash n. Now whenever I can find out length of a content, so length of a content is nothing but a number of lines that it has read. So the number of lines it has read is 4. I will go for one more program using for loop so that your idea will be more clear. Now listen, I will show you that program here. Now write a program to read the contents of a file. Instead of reading the contents of a file using readline or read or read lines, I am using something for loop. Okay. Now in this for loop, we all know that for loop can operate on the sequence, a particular sequence. Okay. Now here the sequence is separated by what? The sequence is separated by backslash n or a new line. Okay. So I am trying to read each line in a file, and then I am trying to print that line. Now listen, I have used old way, that is file is equal to open read.txt in a read mode. Then I am trying to perform an operation, that is for line in file print line. Whenever I am performing this operation, what will be my output? It is showing me, listen, it is showing me this is first line, this is second line, and this is third line. If I change this variable, if I instead of line, if I say just L, will it matter? No, that does not matter at all. This L is pointing where? It is pointing to each line in a file. If there are 50 lines, it will print what? It will print all the 50 lines. Okay. So this for loop gets operated on each line of a file. If I try to print the length of a file here, please see, if I try to print length, sorry, after performing a complete read operation, I will print the length. So I will print length of a if I write down length of L, then what will be the result? Now please tell me. Yeah, I will do it quite different way. Yeah. If I try to print length of L, it is giving me what? For a first line, the length was 20. For a second line, it is 20. And then for third line, it is 18. Is it clear to all? I am printing a line and simultaneously I am checking the length of that line. Length of line means what? How many characters are there in this line? So this is just a hint to you people, as we have one assignment based on counting the number of characters in a file. So is it clear? Now, can I perform few more changes, variations on this? I will go for those variations. Now, yeah, I have left with one program on readline. I will go for that. Now listen, in this program, I have performed read operation. Okay, and I don't want output now. Now listen, we have performed this program, and where I got the result in the form of list, which is backslash n. Okay, if I don't want backslash n, so what is the stuff that I have to go for? The way we perform split function, split by space, split by something, split by comma. So we have split lines. Using split line, I will get the output without backslash n. See, I have performed this previous program. I have performed the previous program on a same file. I performed my previous program on a same file, that is file.txt in a read mode, and file.txt, that is yeah, this is different. I will show you this. This is read.txt, and in read.txt I have the same contents, that is this is first line, this is second line, and this is third line. Okay. Now, so what I got is, I got the output f.read split lines. Instead of split lines, if I perform just split, then what will be my output? Is it clear to all? If I perform, I will display it in two different variables. C is equal to, let it be like split lines. Then the next will be D is equal to f dot read dot split, and then I will print C as well as I print D. I don't want to print their length now. I just want to print